cats and cool kittens. This is that lady y'all hate. Just kidding. It's me, Molly. Hopefully you don't hate me. Not yet, anyway. At least let me get through this another episode. It's time for everybody's favorite game. What's in that cup? It's anybody's guess. It's Friday. Let me tell you, it's been a hell of a week, y'all. I don't know how much you guys have been tuning into this show. I'll pray for you if it's been more than once, but uh yeah, man, we made it through. It's Friday. Can y'all believe it? A whole nother week went by. It almost feels surreal to say that. Honestly, I feel like I'm settling a little bit in more this week than I was last week. I hope you guys are having some of those same feelings. Um, Try not to get on social media. It's not going to help. I am here to tell you. But I am excited today. I jokingly named the show Friday Mess Express, and I think we're just projecting how we actually want to feel at 2 o'clock. I'm just gonna pretend that I'm drunk through this show. You know what I'm saying? So, but I'm really excited to have my two guests on today. They're doing really amazing work in the community with public health and everything else. But my favorite thing is how they have innovated to use music to heal the community at a time that we need it the most. And I am here for that. So, without further ado, I'm gonna bring in my two guests and let them introduce themselves. So let's go ahead and get this party started, y'all. All right, Kristen and Marisol, what's up, ladies?
Hey.
How we doing today?
It's great. We're fine.
Everything's fine. It's just fine. Yeah, I heard that. Just like we're like that meme where everything's on fire and we're just like sitting at the table and we're like, no, it's fine.
No, we're good. We're good.
It's totally fine. So let's do proper introductions. Kristen, we'll start with you. You want to tell everybody who you are, what you do, what you're all about?
Oh gosh. Hi everyone. I am Kristen St. John. I am currently the Deputy Director of National Grassroots Advocacy for the National Association of Community Health Centers. I am all about music, acting a complete idiot, and trying to push the page in the HR department. I like random emails and phone calls of please don't do
that. That's amazing. I love getting in trouble with my boss too. It's always been one of my favorite things to do. I spent more time in my like guidance counselor and like the like disciplinarian office or like at high school than I did in like classrooms.
It's fun.
Can't tell at all. But all right. And our next guest is Marisol. Marisol, will you tell everybody who you are, what you're all about?
Sure. So I am the Digital Director of Communications for the National Association of Community Health Centers. I am a healthcare communicator, number one. Number two, I'm a community health center advocate. And I'm a mom of two, a 2-year-old who I'm daily trying to keep from killing himself because he climbs everything. And a 5-year-old who is going on 15 at times. She's very much a teenager. And also a fur baby mom who is actually Luna, my dog, and she is the best behaved child I have. And a wannabe gardener and a music lover, just like Kristen, a big fan of a wide range of music. Nice. I'm also the friend you take with you to the club because I'm going to make sure you're going to get home on time. And safe. That's me.
I can relate to that because I'm always like the voice of reason, which some of you might find that shocking and appalling, but it's true. Sometimes I am the one holding everything together. That's a great quality to have. Somebody has to make sure that everybody gets home. You know right? What I mean? Like, yeah, for sure.
Yes.
I have been that person like walking around the club like, ma'am, whose purse is this? Why would you leave this in the DJ booth? This is not okay. You're 27, ma'am.
Exactly.
What is going on?
I'm the one who drinks too much and wants to, but like, why is she touching me? Who is this woman?
It's like not touching you at all. It's like not paying attention at all.
That heifer bumped into me in the bathroom. I'm about to fight somebody. Knowing so well. I'm too short to start something.
That's so for me, it's what I drink. Like, if I drink Jameson, I wanna, like, spray paint things. If I drink gin, I wanna, like, angry, like, wrestle and kiss people. If I drink tequila, I wanna burn the patriarchy down. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a wide range of emotions. They all mostly involve breaking the law, though, admittedly, so I mostly stick with red wine these days. It gets me in significantly less trouble than the aforementioned.
I'm not mature enough for wine. Basically vodka, bourbon, anything that I can at least 2 cups in and I'm feeling real good.
There you
Like,
go. I used to drink a lot of whiskey, and then I went to Ireland, last year, and they all drink light beer, and they were like, "Look at her, Thomas, she's drinking it again." I was like, "What the hell, man?" They would, like, keep ordering me shots, and they were like, "Look at her, she's drinking it again." Like, "What?" Like, they were s and then I'd ask for water, and they'd be like, "Oh, you love that water?" I'm like, "Yeah, man, haven't you seen how much Jameson I drink? Like, you gotta have water, I'm gonna die," you know? Like, I thought I was upholding my Irish heritage this whole time, and then I realized that, like, I might just have a drinking problem, so I, I don't drink as much Jameson anymore, and that's
Um,
my journey to wine, you know what I mean? I was like, well, because if you drink 2 glasses of wine, you're like, "I'm going to bed," you know what I mean? Like, there's no civil disobedience with wine,
we
kind of
that's
boring.
very
keeps
true.
you out of trouble. Yes.
Yeah, it's like
I'm actually concerned about when all of this is over, just the amount of like Fridays and Thursdays of like 2 o'clock, 1 o'clock in the afternoon as starting to drink. How many folks are going to be like, kind of like Lane with that Seinfeld episode where she pissed everybody off for because she complained about them having cake every day.
you're right.
Started getting like the sugar, the sugar rush every day afterwards, and it's going to be interesting getting back to the office and not trying to sneak something in at like
Right.
that no one knows what's going on and just kind of laying out the afternoon from that because we're just so used to, or some folks are used to drinking earlier than usual
Yeah.
during the
They'll
day.
they'll be like, "Molly, you drink coffee all day." I'm like, "Mm, mhm.
Sure.
Love that coffee. Mhm."
it's,
It's amazing.
it's Vegas rules, baby.
Like, "Your cup is in your hand
Uh,
all day, Molly. That's amazing." Like, "Sure is."
Stay hydrated.
First rule of, Fight Club.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've actually been really good. I joke more about being drunk than I actually get drunk. I don't know. I think it's just fun to think about more than anything else. But the problem is then your days just sort of run together, you know what I mean? And you need like some sort of you need a designation of something, right? So,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
yeah, it'll be really interesting to see how I feel like once we're allowed to leave our houses again, we're all gonna be like Gollum, like coming out of the cave, like, "Oh, what is this sunlight you speak of?" Like, I don't know, man. It might be kinda traumatic to go to work again. Like, I don't know if I can handle the commute to DuPont Circle anymore. I might just like cry. I might just like pull over and cry and shake just from like all the trauma that's already been going on. I think adapting to the real world again is gonna be a whole new thing.
I think it's going to be like, do you remember either of you in DC the winter of 2009 when we had that real bad back-to-back
Snow.
snowstorm? And this is
Yeah.
before everyone had laptops. So I was working where I was working, our boss would not let us have laptops. So we had just had desktops. So I didn't work for 2 weeks. And I remember at that point too, I had Mia, my pug, who was just a pain in my ass. Like we were annoying each other on purpose because there was nothing to do. And that I remember there was that random Thursday where the metro finally opened and everybody got in, everyone got into work and folks being happy, like that they were away from like their pet, their significant others, their,
Right.
and I just remember being on the elevator and just everyone smiling at each other and just like, hey, how you doing? What happened with you? Is everything all right? Blah 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 type of situation. And it was hilarious until the chick got on the elevator with flip-flops.
After a snowstorm.
And then when she got off, I just remember turning to these people. I did not know who, because I mean, I was in a large, in a pretty big building, and I just remember turning around these people I didn't know and was like, "What the fuck did we just see?"
Yeah, white people. That's what just happened. I'm willing to bet. I'm putting 20 on that card. Say Jack. I don't understand that. They're like, why are you running in shorts? Like, what it like? I don't. Like it's 20 degrees, sir. Put some pants on. Like, does it help your running if you also get frostbite? Like, I don't remember. I don't remember that part of being good health. Oh man, it reminds me of there's this clip of this like couple from the news. It's like years old, and it's like this white couple, and they're out in a snowstorm jogging, and she's like, "Yeah, it's great. It feels so good under your feet." And like as they jog away, she like totally falls and lands straight on her ass. It's like, and then like slides for 5 feet. It's like the best thing ever. It's like, oh yeah, how's that feel? Why would you run in the snow? Like, come on, people need treadmills. They need treadmills and books in their life. That's what I think, honestly.
Or just dance around. That's it.
You know, I've been running up and down my stairs. That's my new thing. So I have like a stairwell or, staircase in my house, 12 steps or whatever.
Mhm.
And so I've been doing reps on those. And like, you'd be surprised, like running up and down your stairs 5 times in a row is surprisingly hard when you eat as many pancakes as I do, honestly.
I have, unfortunately, where I live, it's a garden style. So my one coworker was saying that she's actually doing the thing, and because she lives in like a building, so
Yeah.
she's been doing like the indoor back steps up and
Yeah.
down. I was like, no, I usually go for walks out in the morning and then do a mile and a half in the morning, do a mile and a half at night. I was like, if
That's
I'm
good.
running up and down these stairs, I was just like, especially as awkward as I run up and down the stairs, I was like, my neighbors are, I mean, they talk about me enough as it is with just the music that comes out of it's bizarre, random music that comes out of my place, or hear me yelling at, especially when Mia was alive, my dog, and just being like, she doesn't have a roommate yet. She's having a full conversation with a random pet. I was like, I don't need to give them more fuel to add to the fire.
Exactly. Yeah, I have like whole conversations with my dog, and then sometimes I remember my roommates are home, and I'm like, oh shit, they think I'm crazy. Well, they already know I'm crazy though. Whatever.
See me, love me. That's the way that's the way I deal with it.
Yeah, I'm like, you should be lucky I feed you. Just kidding. I love Lily. She's my best friend.
Oh.
Yeah, she's the homie for sure. Well, ladies, let's talk about just to give people a little bit of background, like how I met Kristen was at a roundtable discussion that Anthony Shop hosted at the National Press Club, and it was such a cool thing, and it was like half women around the table and half men, and I really appreciated that. And it was just a really good conversation and inspired me to want to start a LinkedIn Live show. And you were going to be my first guest on the show, but then the pandemic happened, and
the apocalypse hit.
Yes, and so here we are, and so I've decided to flip it to this show. So I'm really glad that you were able to come on to the show and join me, and you too, Marisol. I love that you're both coming from the same organization. I think that's awesome, and we can talk about some of the like public health work that you're doing. But what I'm really excited about is the Pandora or Spotify, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they created a Spotify playlist to like highlight the work they're doing. So I'm gonna let you explain it because you did a much better job of me. But I just think this is so cool and such a great way to use technology to get information to people. So I'll let you take it from here.
Marisol, do you want me to roll with it?
I'm happy to if you want me to.
I just want to say it was Marisol was her idea, and it is absolutely amazing. So why don't you go ahead, Marisol, and I'll just jump in.
Well, I think what happened was Kristen came on board Well, first of all, when we were when we were selecting people for her position, I was able to interview her, and right off the bat, like we hit it off. It was amazing. So when she got the job, I was really excited. And one of the things that was in her bio when they sent that around at work was how much she loved music. And so I was really excited because I also love music, and she was always talking about, whatever concert she was going to that night. I mean, the girl has a huge calendar, just full of concerts and local and international bands and all of this stuff. And it was just really amazing because I feel like I don't get enough of that like I used to when I was younger, because a lot of Barney and Disney plays in my household at the moment, so, which is really sad. But so as we were coming up with ideas to keep people sort of engaged and looped in, I thought, maybe this is an opportunity to bring that in and combine the love of music and the love of advocacy and the things that we, the people that we want to uplift into this playlist. And how do we do that? And so it was just a really simple, hey, Kristen, let's do this. And she was like, okay, I got it. So it was amazing to be able to roll with it. And we did have so much positive feedback around the first playlist that we've sort of continued it whenever we can find a good theme to go with.
Yeah, the first one we did was for National Health Center Week, where it happens every August, and it celebrates just the power of health centers and how important they are for the communities. And so we did something like that. And I'll be honest, I mean, it was one of those where nobody was paying attention. I don't mean if it sounds negative, not trying to be negative, but it was kind of like, okay, yeah, do it, whatever. And we did it, and it actually like it worked out cool because when sometimes it's the ones that we've done. I think we've done 5 of them now. We all have them on the NAC Spotify page. It's like one of us will hit the other one up and be like, hey, playlist time. Okay, let's do it this way. Let's focus on this. And we'll just sit there and think of songs that are appropriate, that are safe for work. and then kind of expand from there. And it's fun. I honestly think my director probably she loves music too, but I also think she knows that this is kind of like a sedative for me. So it's something it makes me happy. And then so it's like, oh yeah, Kristen, you and Marisol, y'all have some fun, type of situation. And Marisol a lot of times is the adult like at the club and will come and be like, we can't do this song. So like I was so excited for for this one, the Not All Heroes Wear Capes playlist that we did at the start of this pandemic. One of the songs that I was just like, I have to put in is the Dropkick Murphys song. And being from Boston, it is or being from Massachusetts, it's almost like in my DNA kind of that you have to like the Dropkick Murphys. It's like you grow up hearing them all the time. So, and when they did that song during their concert, which I thought blew me away on St. Patrick's Day. That I was like, this song is phenomenal. And I was like, when we were talking about that, I'm like, yes, we have to put I can't think of the name of the song off the top of my head right now, but it was like that one. And there was like a Foo Fighters song that I wanted to put on and just kind of make it so that it's a whole wide range for people to kind of, that give them some bop and give them something, happy to listen to.
Yeah, for sure. So tell me a little bit about like, the visibility that it's brought, what are some of the benefits that you've seen from this playlist? Like, how does that, impact the work that you're doing, directly? Is it just about visibility? Is it like getting donations? Like, what is that content driving people to do?
I mean, Marisol, you could disagree with me or add, but I think a lot of it's not it's not necessarily visibility. I think it's more of it's more of a thank you to the folks on the front lines, the people
Mm,
that are in it. I remember one particular, and also to tell a story. One particular playlist that we did last year. We work with PCAs, primary care associations, that are in all the different states, and a gentleman from a PCA reached out and basically was like, out of nowhere, was like, these playlists are a blast, thank you so much for doing them. And it's like feedback like that.
yeah.
Or when we, for Black History Month, we did the community health centers were kind of born, not kind of, were born out of the why I'm having a
Civil rights.
thank you. Welcome to working with me out of the civil rights movement. And, so we focused, we did a playlist for that. And, we focused on some, songs that also came out of the civil rights movement, both that are the originals as well as the updated versions and stuff like that. So, it's basically to kind of tell a story, and getting people to listen to it and know that, hey, we may not be with you but in person, but we're with you, and we know what you're doing, and are proud and trying to say thank you.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
I think certainly music can move you in different ways, right? Anyone who's been a teenager knows that they have that one song that was like, "Oh, my first love never responded, and this is the song I think of," right? So I think
Preach.
it can move people, right? It can move people, and it can remind them of like why they are where they are. And so I think particularly for when we're asking people to call Congress or to pick up, make that, write that email and send it, getting them pumped up with a music list that moves them to do that is great work. And then, but the other thing is to also inspire, particularly because I feel like, we have this big history, and sometimes we can forget because we've been in it for so long, right? And But it's also, a good way. It's a good thing for people to share very quickly as well. So like if you're talking about whether, especially during like Black History Month, if we're talking about the movement, and where we came from and trying to bring in some new blood, this is a really easy way to do that, and say, this is a great, this is a playlist, listen to it, this is where we come from. um, and it's kind of just a way to reach very easily, for us to reach people.
For sure, because I mean, music like reaches, all the corners and crevices of the globe, right? And it's
Hmm.
so personal, even though it's such a wide-ranging thing. Music is very personal. It triggers memories, it triggers feelings, and I love that you're like telling stories and letting people know the history of these movements and where they came from. Because I think it's really important. I think we're really seeing that now, especially we're seeing the disparity in resources and I think that a lot of things that people weren't aware of are going to be front and center now, like
Hmm.
they're not new struggles, right? Like I suspect it's a lot like Ferguson, right? Like Ferguson, even for me, like I grew up around here. And so I've been really insulated because like I've always been the minority, right? Like I grew up in Falls Church, so not so much then, but then moving into the city, it's like, and even in high school and stuff, my best friend was from Cambodia. Like it was always like really diverse. And so you think that like things had gotten better. Then Ferguson happens, and all these like well intended white people are like, wait, what? This is happening still? Like it never stopped. And so it
Hmm.
takes some of these like pivotal, really painful and traumatic moments to kind of shed the light and say, like, yeah, man, it's still happening. Like it's always been this way. It's never really improved. And now everyone is seeing it. And I think that like, it'll be it'll be good to see what happens next. I think like it's hard to you can't unsee these things, right? Like we
Mhm.
joke about that, in memes and stuff, but the reality is once you know, and then you can garner more support from people who are able to provide it
Mhm.
because I think a lot of people are just unaware, unfortunately, right? So, especially getting young people and teaching them where these community health centers and like these movements came from is so important. So important.
Oh yeah, most definitely. Not to sound negative, I it just seems like something like this, not like this, but something happens like every 5, 6 years, and people see it, process it, and then they move on. And it is the arts that kind of help keep it somewhat in memory.
Totally.
I just hope that maybe this was shocking enough that folks really have the discussions, or at least keep the discussion going on the importance of community, period,
Mhm.
and knowing your neighbors and helping your neighbors and
Yeah.
reaching out, and stuff like that. I mean, the stories that I've seen have been amazing, and the stuff that there's this one artist, Citizen Cope. I don't know if either of you know who he is, but he's doing, which is awesome. He's doing daily Instagram lives. I think it's conversations with Cope, I think, or hanging
Mm.
with Cope, and he's bringing on this week. I've seen him bring on different people, completely different people that you wouldn't expect. Like Misty Copeland was on
Nice.
yesterday. There was like different artists that he's talking to and actually having just conversations, and then he'll do like a song or two, which I just think is
Yeah.
really cool. Or
Yeah.
just like, just thinking of just how the D Nice and how that completely exploded a couple weeks ago. I mean, and he was just, and how many people came together and partied on Instagram live with him and still do. And
Yeah.
and how you're seeing folks like, I was on it that Saturday night when like Michelle Obama jumped on, and people were just like, I partied with
What?
Michelle Obama, and I'm like, I want that T-shirt, But
Oh, that's a good idea.
yeah, I think somebody's developing it, but just stuff like that to show that we are together, and it's not just lip service, that it is legit,
Yeah.
and what we can do, and how folks are using, especially social media, to kind of reach out and say, hey, if you are home and you can't leave, let me know. I will go and buy your groceries. I mean, complete
Yeah.
strangers are doing that to help, especially folks that are older or compromised immune systems, which I think is awesome. I just hope
For
that
sure.
it isn't. I just hope that I miss the feeling of when Obama was elected president. I worked downtown, and or even when he was nominated, and walking down the street and seeing complete random strangers and nodding at them and smiling like, oh shit, this is happening,
Yeah.
and I and that lasted, a good chunk of time, but then it just dissipated to fear and hatred again. And I just hope that this kind of resettles, and people know or realize that we have to keep moving on. I mean, I'm sounding like a do-gooder, and I'm gonna throw up that when we get
Hey,
off
do
this,
do
but
gooding is good. Do gooding is good stuff. We like do-gooders up in this piece.
but I'm hoping that this continues, and
Yeah.
maybe music is a good thing, that people, as you're seeing more and more people kind of hang on to these songs and these music and these playlists,
Yeah.
just in general, that it helps to keep that all together.
I mean, here's the way I think about it. I think that like Americans have gotten super comfortable, right? Like we haven't
Mhm.
really been inconvenienced. We've never stood online for food. We stand online to go to the club, not for food. Well, I don't. I'm not saying I'm no line ever, but I'm just saying, like, we really haven't, like, there hasn't been, like, all of the wars that we've fought have been on other people's soils. Like, they haven't been
Mhm.
here. So, like, for Americans, this is a big wake up in a lot of different ways. But I think it's just like anything. I think that I think you'll see more community because like even right now, like I want to help. Like there was a fire under the L Street Bridge, and like I have friends that live under that bridge that I've been advocating for, and that was the first thing I saw when I woke up today. And like I'm gutted, I'm gutted, and I want to go down there, but like I have like 4 more hours of work I can do before I can even leave the house, and then I can go down there, and like I don't know what to do, and I don't know how much I can help because like we're supposed to be staying home right now. Like I don't like so I think a lot of people are feeling overwhelmed by that and not sure what to do. But I think what's going to happen is when we are able to move around, you're going to see people really stepping up because there's a lot of people at home right now who want to help, but they're like, I can't leave my house. Like, or I might be sick. I don't want to get anybody else sick. So I think that like once we get past that, we're going to see like an uptick in community and care. I really do believe that. And it's just like anything, like the dust is going to settle and some people are going to go right back into their old ways, but there's going to be a whole new wave of activists and community leaders and public speakers and wave makers and game changers and all of that, right? Like people, this is going to inspire the next wave of that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, who knows what it was that Malcolm X saw that like formed his brain into wanting to be the person he was. Like, what was it? What were those instrumental moments, those sights, those things that people saw or felt? Usually it's like, it's struggle, right? Like once you've struggled through something, once you've been afraid, you have a greater understanding and more compassion. And so I think while some people will go back to business as normal or whatever, they won't really get the lesson. I think far more people will, and they'll lead by example. And at the end of the day, like we're pack animals, we're going to kind of go with what people are doing. And so hopefully the pack is moving in a better direction. And I'm hopeful for that because no one is coming out of this unscathed. No one.
No, I get you.
And I'm sure you two are seeing it too, like on your timelines and stuff. It's getting closer and closer and closer. So, people were joking about it or whatever. Like they're not joking about it anymore, right? Because it's like finally starting to impact them. So, I think we'll get there. I like to believe in the better. I think people are some shit. And I always joke that I hate people, but I don't really hate people. I think that like at the core, like we're good and like we want to do good. And I think that we've all been very busy for a lot of years and it's been really hard to do good because you're just trying to get through the day and do all your work and do everything else that you're supposed to be doing and all this other stuff. And it's just hard. It's hard to pull all that off. You know what I mean? Like who's supposed to be doing all this work? Who's supposed to maintain these lifestyles? So now that everything is slowed down, I think that we're going to see like a different level of engagement from people. I really do. I'm hopeful for that. I don't know. Marisol, do you have some stats and numbers for us? Maybe we can
some stats and numbers.
Maybe it'll get better. Maybe it'll get worse. I don't know.
I think just from the news stories that I'm reading, it's supposed to get worse, unfortunately, before it gets better.
It's like life.
Just like, right, exactly.
It's a metaphor for dating.
We're in our 20s as far as the COVID-19 crisis is going, I think right now, right?
Right.
We haven't quite reached the 30s. I think what you said is true, though, in that no one is getting out of this without being touched by it, right? And I think that's never been more clear than it is now. Social isolation will only go so far. Even some of these smaller towns where it might take a second for them to see their first case, they will eventually see it. It's interesting. It's sort of like taxes. Everybody has to pay taxes, right? And that's the same thing that's happening with this. It's really unfortunate, and I do hope that this is very much an eye-opening experience that shows us, one, how important it is to have a properly funded public health system, but two, I'm from my standpoint, just from work and being a health center advocate, is that people start to realize that these places exist in their community, because I think since they're nonprofits and small businesses that are independently owned, they have different names. They might go by clinic, they might go by health center, they might go by federally qualified health center, they might be working with a local hospital or a public health department, and you don't realize that these places exist there. And there's for a long time there's been this movement to buy local, to make sure the small businesses in your community stay open. And I think people have missed health centers in that movement. It's definitely part of the buy local. It's definitely being involved in your community, because you can, they have board members who are patients there. So, and so I think that this is an opportunity for us to sort of get that story out and get that word out. I mean, there's over 12,000 of them in the U.S. So there's definitely one in your backyard. They just need to be, properly funded at this point. So that's kind of where we are. Yeah.
What is the definition of a community health center? Like, is that like what's a typical? Is that like the people that serve Medicaid to people? Like, I don't know what the difference is actually.
So, community health centers are, first of all, there's 1,400 organizations across the states, and they serve 29 million plus people. And one of the requirements of them that makes them unique is that 51% of their board must be patient-driven, right? They must be patients and board members. And the reason for that, and what makes community health centers super unique, is that to provide care in a community, you need to understand what's going on in that community, right? Not everyone has the same issues. And so that is why they want the patient board members, right? So that's one of the really unique aspects. They are grant funded. Some of their funding comes from a grant from the government. And that's why we're always like, call your Congress member. Right. But really, like we were saying earlier, they were founded in the 60s along with the civil rights movement because they truly do believe in health equity. And some of them, I think 44% of them are in rural communities. But they also, they might be working with the homeless population and some of them have shelters, or even in DC, there's a really great one that has a apartment complex where they put whole families in while someone is recovering, so families can stay together. So they provide, substance use disorder healthcare for substance use disorder. They provide dental care and primary and preventative health care. So they do a lot of different things, but it just depends on what is needed in that community. So that's what makes them really great.
That's awesome. I mean, it's such a smart way to do it, right? It's like UPS, they have their top management, the CEOs and all that. They drive trucks like for 2 weeks, like every couple years, so that they never get so far away from what it actually looks like to be out there, like delivering the packages in the street and moving around. And I mean, it's a kind of a different example, but I like that, because then you never get so far removed from like what's actually going on, and you can't service people and you can't like take care of your company or your constituents or whatever it is if you don't know what it is that they're actually going through. So I really like that method. I mean, equitable healthcare, like what a concept.
And actually, it was the board. It was when I was applying for this position. That's what caught my attention, was the fact that the board of directors has to be majority patients. So I thought that was. I mean, it's you have such a bad. Not bad. I mean, you sometimes you see board of directors and you're just like, or a board of a company, and it's it's all old white men, and who are like trillionaires at this point. But it's nice to see that there are folks who are helping their own community get get the healthcare that they deserve and having a voice in it. So I thought that's really what drew me to NAC and wanting to apply for this job.
Yeah.
Oh, and I just would add that just in case anyone is watching or listening, that Health centers will see anybody regardless of ability to pay, and that's the other part of it, right? So yes, they do serve folks who are publicly insured, like Medicaid, but they also serve people who are uninsured or underinsured because they provide services on a sliding scale fee, a sliding scale. So,
yeah. And
yeah.
also
awesome.
us, people who are fully insured,
Yes.
your primary, you can, use the primary care there as like, your doctor, you don't, so it's literally open to everybody. I was trying to, encourage some like friends kids who are living on their own, who are recent college grads. Like, this is a good place that you can go and be seen and build a relationship with a doctor as well. So
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and correct me if I'm wrong, but that's probably good for the health center too, right? If some people have insurance and they can get fully funded from that, right? Like that probably
Mm-hmm.
helps steady the ship a little bit with their expenses and bottom line. Is that correct?
yes.
Definitely. Yeah. I think every little bit helps. Certainly.
Yeah, for sure. So what is the best thing that people could do if they want to support their like community health centers? Like what does that look like? What could they do to be helpful in that regard?
Want me to take a stab at it first,
Yeah.
Marisol? Yeah. Well, definitely see, find out if there is one, in your community, and you can go to nac.org, and there's like a part there that you can put your zip code in, and it has, the health centers. Also becoming an advocate, supporting the health center by reaching out not only to your member of Congress, but also to your local and city and state governments, to, elected officials, just to be like, hey, these folks are here, they do, they're important to our community. Because, a lot of folks also forget that, as they are small businesses in a way, so they are economic engines on a local scale.
Right.
So, a lot of times, just thinking about, especially in rural areas, this health center could be, employing a good number of people in the health center, but also, that also trickles down to, the local diner that, that
Right.
doctors go to, or to,
Right.
supply stores and stuff like that. So they serve a very important part, health wise, but also community economically wise, to everyone's community.
For sure. And are like right now during this pandemic, are the health centers kind of like are they being utilized? Are they kind of maxed out right now? Like where do they stand in all this? Or is the larger government seeing more need for these health centers, especially right now? I would imagine so, right? Or what does that look like?
I think it's all over it's all over the spectrum right now,
Yeah.
because of the way that this virus is moving, right? So certainly, if you look at places like New York City or Los Angeles or some of these bigger areas, you have a lot of patients who are coming in and or calling in and asking about testing and things like that, and that's all, I'm sure from the news, has been kind of crazy as well, the testing. But I think the big thing that we're hearing, especially from doctors and CDC, is that if you think you might, so if you need to go to the doctor, you should certainly call your doctor first and talk to them about what's going on before you make that trip, because of the social isolation rate. We want to make sure
Right.
people who don't have this don't go into a health center or a healthcare provider and then end up with this illness.
Right.
So that's really, really important. But yeah, they're all over the spectrum right now. Some of them, unfortunately, we are seeing some closures of sites and things like that due to protective equipment that's not available, or
Right.
if the doctor gets sick or something like that. So that's kind of what we're seeing at the moment, which I think is across the board in the
Yeah.
United States.
Just a weird
So,
time in general for all of this.
mhm.
Well, we'll definitely have to include any links to, the things that we just talked about to make sure that we get that information to people so they have it. Um, so yeah, so let's talk a little bit more about the music in the playlist. So I am really curious to know, like, well, we'll have to link to like all the playlists, we'll put all those in the description of this so people can check it out. But I'm curious because we all love music. So I am curious to know, like, what was your first? Well, first of all, I'm going to start with Kristen because I want to talk about this D Nice portrait that's in the back of your room there. So, like, let's talk about that a little bit real quick.
Sure. So Chuck Styles, the is an artist, and he's on Instagram. You can check out his website. So when D Nice, was it 2 Saturdays ago? Everything's running into me.
I
So
know.
when he started, apparently he started on a Monday on Instagram, just doing club quarantine, and it started. Legend has it, it started with about 200 people. By that Saturday night, he started at, I think it started like around 5 o'clock, and I got word of it. Sorry, to back it up, I am a huge fan of D Nice. I remember it when he was the DJ for Boogie Down Productions. I have
Boogie Down?
been, yeah, Boogie Down Productions. If you do the By Any Means Necessary or By All Means Necessary, that album that came out in the 87, 88, he was the DJ on it. And he also, if
Amazing.
you see him in I'm Gonna Get You Sucker, he's the DJ when they, at the end, when they, every good hero has theme music, you see him like with a portable record player, scratching while Kara
Nice.
is rapping. See, rabbit hole, just go down. um, so I am a huge fan. I've seen him DJ a couple times at the Kennedy Center for different things, and all of a sudden I hear on Instagram, "Oh shoot, he's DJing." So Saturday night, I pop on at 5 o'clock, and by 9 or 10, he had over 100,000 people on it. He
Crazy.
streamed Instagram. Instagram did not have the workings to have that many people on one particular
Yeah.
live. It was bananas. And that portrait is when, if you're watching it on Instagram, he points to the top of the screen of when he hit 100,000. Uh,
Nice.
so that Sunday, all of a sudden, that portrait appears digitally on Instagram by Chuck Styles, and basically saying that he wanted to, thank D Nice, because I mean, that night was bananas. I didn't go to bed until 2 and didn't fall asleep until 3, and I don't think I have yet to recover from that. I mean, I was dancing. I mean, it was good. I mean, he just kept it was bananas. So, everybody was literally on a high that Sunday talking about it, and it came, and I kind of responded to that, and D Nice thanked him for such an awesome thing, and I was like, I would pay for that if you ever sold it. And I may have followed that portrait posting around a couple times on Instagram, little stalkerish, making the same comments. Like, um, I get a DM basically like, "Hey, this is, in not so many words, your dream has come true.
Right.
I'm selling it, and part of the proceeds actually is to help out with, responders and stuff like that for the."
That's awesome.
And I was like, as Marisol said, I go to entirely too many concerts in general. So right now, my bank account's been looking pretty good. So I was like, you know what? I was like, this is my concert, my concert fee, since I've basically everything has been, trashed for the foreseeable future.
Yeah. Yeah, the only concerts we're gonna have are in our living room, I think, for a little while.
I have tickets to the Foo Fighters 4th of July thing, and I'm holding on. I know everyone's shaking their heads. I'm holding on for hope. I need I need my fix of foos, and I just hope that
Your foo
actually
picks.
my foo fix. I was there. I was at the one that they did at RFK a couple years ago, where Dave was in the Game of Thrones style wheelchair, because it was like the first concert after he broke his leg, and
Oh, right.
it was it was the longest day I have ever had because it was a full festival, but it was the most amazing. I was like, and after that, I literally have gone to every Foo Fighters concert in the DMV system because I was like, and we almost bought tickets to the one that was going to be in New Orleans. Like last year, the year before, we were like, yeah, let's do this. And then we're just like, okay, calm down. No, we're not going to go to New Orleans. We'll see him when he comes up here. But
New Orleans, man, I love New Orleans. My heart is with them right now.
Oh yeah. I told my mom, it's funny. I was joking with my mom that if I was in high school, if I knew New Orleans was an option when I was in high school, I probably would have gone there for college, and you'd find me to this day tatted up, pierced to the nines, probably managing or helping some local band. I was like, I love New Orleans.
Me too.
I'm adopted, and the joke is that my biological father must be from there, because the minute I land, I'm just like, okay, I'm home.
It's funny that you say that, because I always describe New Orleans as the place that I never felt like I was from some place before that I had never been before. Like, I felt the same way. Like, the moment I got there, I was like, I'm supposed to be here. And I think if I had gone to New Orleans a little bit younger, I would be living there. We would probably be managing a venue and a band together, probably. Like, I mean, for real, like, I just built too much here with One Love Massive, my previous company, and it was like just kind of difficult to uproot it and move it, and then Heartcast Media. But yeah, if I was like 22 and discovered New Orleans, like, you couldn't keep me away from that town. I love New Orleans. Like, it's just the best. They have the best food, they have the best music, they have the best everything. I love. Yeah, you have some people on here. Kiss me. I don't want to say it wrong.
Kiss me. Yeah, it's kiss me. I know her. Yes.
Kiss me. She gets that all the time. She's like, I hate you. If it's any consolation, people call me Molly McButter in high school, so maybe that makes up for it. Yeah, she said she loves New Orleans, and Randy St. John said he can help with your foo fix if you need be. I don't know what that means.
That's my brother, and I'm afraid of what
I know. What's he peddling out here in these streets?
He knows everybody. He's one of those. I'm about to, and I don't even have alcohol in me, so this is pretty sad. But
that's funny.
So there happens to be a video from my high school days. I'm just gonna get it out. So it tries to be cute, of me interviewing the new kids, and my brother, when he was, he actually ended up golfing with Mark Wahlberg a couple years ago, and was like, hey, we almost were brother-in-laws. And I was like, you're not funny.
Oh my God, that's so funny. That's amazing. Yeah, I mean, Donnie Wahlberg, say no more.
I'm surprised you didn't share that link with her, Kristen. It's an amazing link. We might need to get that link too.
Maybe he's looking for it right now. Maybe we'll get lucky. Come back, Randy St. John.
Oh no, Kiss Me will drop it in a heartbeat.
Right.
That is so funny. And it's okay. So how about you, Marisol? How about let's talk about the NKOTB interview from 1998. Is that what she's talking about?
Yes, exactly.
1988, yes.
The new kids. She abbreviated NKOTB. Like, it took me a second. I was like, oh, new kids on the block. See, I was born in 75, so by 88, I was already like going to juvie and just kidding. No, I never got caught.
You're younger than I am.
What'd you say?
You're younger than I am.
Wait, no, I'm not. There's no way I'm a year younger than you. I was born in 1975.
I was born 1974.
Shut up.
Yeah.
You look like a baby.
Thank you.
Yes.
Like a serious.
And I act immature too, so it works.
That helps. Yeah. It definitely helps. That's so funny. Yeah, people are always like, "You're 44," and I'm like, "Okay, you're just gassing me up. We all know I look old."
Oh,
But I didn't have any children, so I didn't have the life force sucked out of me, forcefully, so that also helps with keeping yourself looking youthful.
it really does.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing. You can pickle yourself with wine and Jameson and don't have children, and you too can look this good at 44.
You certainly sleep better, right?
Yeah, I do. All the way through the night like a baby, like a drunk baby. It's great. It's great. So Marisol, we gotta talk about like a drunk baby. My mom's probably watching this somewhere like, "God damn it, Molly." Um, she's like, "You know you weren't a drunk baby." Um, let's see, I'm Irish, so I probably was a drunk baby. I probably came out drunk. My mom doesn't even drink. It sounded terrible. My mom actually is the only sober person in our entire family lineage, actually. Um, yeah, a couple years ago for St. Patrick's Day, I was like, "Mom, how Irish am I?" And, like, I'm pretty Irish, y'all, like 96%. I was like, "First of all,
Wow.
that's suspect, like, how did you marry the only other super Irish person in Brooklyn? Like, were you going to, like, Irish only, like, mixers? Like, how like, you know what I mean? Like, this they're not born in, like, 1810. This was in the '50s. Like, how did they but that's a whole other conversation for another episode. Like, how did I get this way? Um, but
That's a
my
counseling.
great
That's our counseling episode. We can.
like I'll unpack all the family secrets. Like, what do you mean he's not my uncle? Um, but yeah, we came over straight off the boat from Ireland and landed in Philly and New York. And I literally come from a long line of bartenders and bootleggers and entertainers. So anytime anybody in my family gets disappointed with my trajectory, I just remind them that I was born this way.
It's in our DNA.
I can't help it. Yeah, I actually grew up in a very, very Irish family too. So I like played. I used to be able to read music, and I played multiple instruments. I played the tin whistle, which is actually a real instrument. I know that's hard to believe. And I played something called the concertina, which is like a bellowing instrument, like a accordion, except it's shaped like a pentagon, and it has
Okay.
24 keys on either side, and then you just like
Oh my
you have to scurry down a street while you play it in like a weird village type place. It's the only place it's acceptable to actually play the concertina. But yeah, we were very. I grew up with like the Chieftains, which are like the biggest Irish band in town. They would be in like my living room every other Saturday night. Like
Are you
very,
serious?
yeah, very Irish, very musical family. I used to dance in the St. Patrick's Day parade. I danced for Ronald Reagan like 4 times as a child, which sounds really weird when I say it like that, but um, there were other people in the room. To
That's
be
applause.
he actually never showed up for any of them. I just have 4 signed autographs of Ronald Reagan on a horse. Like, thank you, Molly. Like, why are you giving me a fucking picture of yourself on a horse, President? Weird. I think it was like his old headshot in Hollywood or something. I don't know.
Oh, it's weird.
Yeah, super weird life. But I grew up in a very musical household. And then we also did Irish dancing, like the river dancing, like that was my life. They put me in a dress and they like curled my hair. Um, it was horrible. I hated it because I've always been a tomboy, so like I like hated it. But we grew up very, very Irish, very musical household, and that definitely like set the tone for me like wanting to produce music events and be around artists. It's like it's just literally in my DNA, so many of my music memories are like really, really young, and not even fully like understand. Like we used to dance like Kaylee's and Feshes. Like we were just Irish as fuck, y'all. There's like you're like I don't even know what these words are. Like Irish people find each other. We don't drink green beer. That's not real. Leprechauns do not exist. It's funny because when people talk about like cultural appropriation or they talk about like you can't use certain words because it might be offended, but nobody has a problem calling us alcoholics or fucking leprechauns. And I would just like to say on behalf of Irish people, like spread some of that equality around people because we don't like that shit. And it's okay to make fun of Irish people for some reason. No one's advocating for us out in these streets, so I'm just saying we're not all as I drink my giant cup of gin. We're not all alcoholics. Just kidding. There's no gin in here. Or is there? But yeah. So Marisol, I want to know about one of your musical memories or experiences, like what, your favorite concert or kind of, what brought you to your love of music.
So I'm actually, I think it came from everywhere. We're first generation American. I'm the baby. I'm of three. My brother is 8 years older than I am. And so he was into like U2, Erasure, all of that when
Yeah.
I was growing up. So I grew up
Yeah.
listening to all of that. But also my grandmother randomly, who speaks no English, has a love for Stevie Wonder. And because I
Nice.
was right, because I was the baby, I spent the most time with her. And I'm a September baby, so I spent an extra year at home, right?
Right.
So I remember listening to Stevie Wonder, and she loved I Just Called to Say I Love You.
Oh, I love that song.
So that was part of it, but also, when we were growing up, the on Sundays in most Latin American households, I think there was a show. It was called on Saturdays was Sábado Gigante, and then on Sundays was Siempre en Domingo. Siempre en Domingo had like the
Mm.
pop artists of, from Mexico or Colombia or wherever. And we didn't have cable. So it was like whatever mom and dad were watching, you watched with them. Right. So that was part of it. But, I think my first concert I went to was with my brother. He had spent some time in Mexico. I don't know how old he was. He's a really fun guy. But so had spent some time in Mexico and really gotten into like Mexican rock. And growing up in Houston, you have access to all of those radio stations. And so he took me to a concert. It was a little bit Lollapalooza, but Spanish bands,
Nice.
Los Aterciopelados, I saw Maná later, Los Fabulosos Cadillacs, things like that. And so that was my first concert, and it was amazing. It was so much fun. So I have a big love for the bands that came out of pop rock in that time period. As of right now, I'm a little bummed because I finally got tickets to Janet Jackson. I've always wanted to go my entire life, and now I don't think it's gonna happen. Yes, winning.
No.
I also, and this happens all the time. So I finally got tickets for Stevie Wonder the last time he went out on tour, and a family emergency made it so that I couldn't go to that either.
Oh man,
So it
that's
just happens,
terrible.
right?
That's terrible.
What do you do? But I have seen Paul Simon,
Nice.
which was amazing. Paul McCartney. So apparently
Right.
my aunt was a big Beatles fan, so that was another one that I picked up for my grandmother, who became a Beatles fan, and my brother's a huge Beatles fan, or was back in the day. So yeah, so it's always just been kind of around the music, and we didn't when I was little, we didn't have a whole lot of money, so we didn't have a whole lot of like entertainment and things like that. But everyone had a radio,
Yeah.
so I remember making those little mixtapes.
Yeah.
Putting
Hovering over the record button, like
exactly.
waiting for the radio commercial to end. You're like, oh, I got it. Oh, I got it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, I do have a funny story. When I was in high school, I won a year's supply of gorditas from Taco Bell from
Hell yeah. That's a
listening.
killer prize.
I was listening to the country radio station at home. It was late at night, and I remembered all of the words to the Chihuahua commercial. You remember the gordita commercial with the Chihuahua? And so that's what they wanted you to do. They wanted you to sing that, and you would get the year's supplies of like Taco Bell gorditas.
Oh
So
my
I
God.
fed my friends. I was, I think, a junior or senior in high
You
school the entire year for
Yeah.
lunch.
You were like the gordita queen, you know?
I was. It was amazing. I think that might be the only thing I've ever won in my life.
So it's funny that you say that. So I never win anything either. And one year I was at the community center with my mom for Halloween. You know how there was little like dumb kid community center Halloween stuff. And so I was dressed like something strange. I can't like a flapper. I don't remember something, but we were walking around the gymnasium, and they had a giant like water cooler, like glass jug filled with candy corn. And if you guessed how many candy corn were inside, then you won. And like, I love candy and chocolate and sugar and everything bad for me, but like the one thing I don't like is candy corn.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, no, I'm good on that. And so my mom was like, Molly, you're so good at math. Complete lie. I'm not good at math. She was like, why don't you guess? And I was like, because I don't want to win that, you know? And she was
Right.
like, no, you're so good at math. And I'm like, I'm not good at math. And she's like, just guess. I'm like, I don't want to guess. So like, basically, she berated me into guessing, and I fucking won. And it's the only thing I've ever won with 7,692 candy corns. I'm still jaded about that.
What did you do with all that candy corn?
I was the coolest kid in school to like 1/3 of the kids, because most people fucking hate candy corn still because they're disgusting. It's like the leftover sugar that like didn't fit into the good sugar candy. They're like, oh, just sweep that up off the floor and repurpose it into candy corn. I think that's how that shit is made. It's terrible. Low budget sugar. It's not even real sugar. You know what I mean? Yeah. Anyway. So yeah, speaking of things that you've won, yeah, that was like the worst win ever for sure. But I was definitely popular that year at school. People were like, "Yeah, candy corn."
Oh, God.
Good times. I'm not good at math. That's why I'm in the music business.
Yeah, no, I'm not a math person either, so I get it.
Oh man. Well, you know, I have some fun first time music memories, but most of them are a blur because they were at RFK for Grateful Dead in 1994, and I'm pretty sure I'm not legally allowed to talk about what happened. But yeah, well, I think what you guys are doing is amazing. I love this playlist idea. We definitely want to spread it out. I'm sure people would appreciate some new playlists to listen to this weekend, so we'll definitely put those in the description. And I just really, you know, I just want to say like thank you both for taking time to meet with me today, because I'm sure you're busy. I'm sure you're not like short on things to have to do at home. So thank you very, very much for taking the time out of your day to like come hang out with me and laugh a little bit and talk some shit. And you know, please let me know if there's anything that I can do to support the mission, you know, to help out in any way. You know, if at any point the organization wants to do some kind of a live stream or a public, you know, facing kind of thing, just let me know. I'm here for y'all. We could definitely make something happen, but mostly, you know, I just really appreciate you taking time. I was looking forward to this all week, and cutting it up a little bit with you this fine afternoon, and try to go into the weekend with a good attitude and a little bit of laughter, because right now a little bit of laughter goes a really long way. So
It
I
really
appreciate
does.
y'all for sure.
Definitely.
And thank you, Molly. And at that first meeting, it was like, yeah, that's my spirit animal over there. This is the one I can hang with. And Marisol, honestly, we haven't seen each other in like a month, and we're on the phone way too much, but it's nice seeing you, man.
Yeah.
Nice to see you too.
Yeah, and Marisol, I gotta admit, like what kind of camera are you using? Because yours just like super clear and popping when you see this, and you like match the wall. Like you're very color coordinated with your whole, and your floor is really shiny. I'm like, how the hell is her floor so clean?
She's the
If I
mature
sat on the
one.
floor, y'all would be like, did an animal die in that hallway? There is a tremendous amount of dog hair in your, but not you. Your floors are clean. They match your bookcase. You're killing it. You look great. I gotta say, you're killing it. I'm gonna go paint my house now. I'm gonna go do something useful with my life. But well, thank you, ladies. I know I'm Marisol's like, who is this person? Why? How did we get here? Thank you both for coming on this show. I'm gonna, you know, shut it down now because I want to be respectful of everybody's time. But thank you so much. We'll make sure to get those links up. Thank you to everybody that's been tuning in all week. I'm taking a couple days off for the weekend because the girl needs some time to reflect. But we will be restreaming old go-go shows that we produced in the past every day this weekend at 4:20. What? So if you like go-go and you got nothing to do at 4:20 tomorrow and the next day, tune in to us because we'll be streaming some amazing content to remind you why we love DC so much and what all of this is about and what we're going to get back to when things are a little bit more normal. So thank y'all from the heart. Doing this show really helps keep me on track and keep me focused and keep me positive. So thank you for tuning in. I appreciate everybody, and I hope y'all have a wonderful weekend. And don't forget to play your own game of What's in That Cup. All right, y'all. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.